this book has been on the reading list for Bookbibuli, and we actually rate it as much as Charlotte's Web. And believe me, we do not take that lightly, because that is again a stellar book. And that's what we are trying to do, bring you different books with different perspectives. Sometimes the underlying theme might be the same. Ivan's story is a heartbreaking reminder of how humans can be so cruel to animals, even when they don't deliberately intend to. Katherine Applegate is the author of The One and Only Ivan, winner of the 2013 Newbery Medal. Ivan is the heart of the story. He's a one and only narrator. And what a narrator! He's articulate, he's honest, he's humble, and amazingly smart. And he has a few loyal friends who are just as interesting. A highly opinionated dog, an aging elephant, and eventually a baby elephant who sets his life on an entirely new course. The story is cute and great for all ages. And we have Adwita with us, who will discuss the book. Hello, Adwita.
Hi, I am Adwita, 8th grader, not very studious but a real gamer. I love to play indoor as well as outdoor. My love for reading is gradually blooming. Since 2020, I have managed to read almost 15 novels and I continue doing so. Bookbibuli is a great story platform. It is like for the kids and by the kids. I love attending their offline story discussions.
So, well, Ivan is an easygoing gorilla living at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. He has grown accustomed to humans, watching him through the glass walls of his domain. He rarely misses his life in the jungle. And then, one fine day, he meets Ruby. I've always wondered, without Ruby, what would have happened to Ivan and Bob after Stella died? Did you think about it, Adwita?
According to me, if Ruby would have not entered the Big Top Mall, then Ivan and Bob would have to stay there rest of their life and die there only. It was because of Ruby that Ivan had to tell her a story every day. He started recalling early years of his life in the wild and the freedom he enjoyed with his troop. If Ruby wasn't there, there would have not been any transformation in Ivan's thoughts.
Ruby spoke to Ivan in the night, and she told a story about herself. Back when she was in the village, and then she fell into the well, and then the entire village helped her to get out. I think that's when Ivan realizes that he really, really loves her. It's an amazing bond they share. And I have again wondered, would Ruby have made it to the zoo without him?
In my opinion, Ruby could have not made it to zoo without Ivan, as she herself was an infant and would require someone around her to protect her and guide her. Ivan gradually understands that life at mall wasn't meant for them, and he starts making drawings and makes an effort to make them understood by Julia. Julia in turn makes a plan to help them get out of the mall to zoo. So Ivan's role is central in making Ruby escape the mall.
This is what I wanted to say, that it's not only one character who depends on the other. The dependence is mutual. That is what makes it so beautiful. Well, moving on. You remember when Stella tells Ivan that zoos are where humans make amends? Ivan sees the inside of a zoo at one point and comments, it's not a perfect place. A perfect place would not need walls, but it's the place I need. And here again, I talk of two more characters, and I'd like to know what you think, Adwita. That if George and his daughter hadn't figured out the drawing, what do you think would have happened?
If George and Julia, the daughter of George, had not figured out the hidden secret in Ivan's drawing of getting out of his cage, then Ivan will have to live rest of his life in his cage with Ruby and Bob in the Big Top Mall.
Once Stella died, Ivan was incredibly sad. I wasn't sure how Mac felt about it, but he totally wasn't happy. They were like his family. Ivan was technically part of his family. I was thinking about this and I wondered, and I was thinking about this other character, Mac. He was kind and he really loved Ivan and he gave him a farewell. But sometimes, in the book, when you read through it, he seemed like the villain. Did you also feel that? And do you think he would have been able to cope without that goodbye?
Well, Mac is a person who is down and out more than he is evil. Mac would have not coped up with that goodbye, according to me, as he won't have time to apologize to Ivan for keeping him in cage for so many years. I think he realized where he went wrong, but overall, I don't see him as a villain either. I think it was circumstances and business losses that made him a bad tempered man.
The book also takes a good hard look at the human practice of capturing wild animals, digging deep into it, especially with what it means for the animals. What emerges is a clear sense that animals matter, just like we do. The one and only Ivan doesn't come right out and say that animals can't ever have happy lives in captivity. What it does say, though, is that how we treat the animals we keep in captivity really matters. Don't you think so?
Yes, I agree to a great extent. However, I think it's a little helpful keeping animals in captivity as we can save them from getting extinct, but it's also bad for them as we cannot just make them stay in captivity for many years as they do not have enough room and animals are deprived of its natural social structure and companionship. So there is a both advantage and a disadvantage.
Thank you very much for being with us today. It was a wonderful session and it was a pleasure having you here. A fun fact. There really was a gorilla named Ivan who lived in a mall for a long time after being captured. At a certain point, he actually did move to the zoo where he spent the rest of his days. Unfortunately or fortunately, I had the privilege of visiting this zoo in Atlanta very recently. And it's sad to see the whole thing. Real life Ivan's story matches up with our Ivan story as well. And Katherine Applegate has woven her magic in telling the story amazingly well, especially as personified Ivan with the entire range of human feelings and emotions. I would also recommend reading the true story about Ivan and his life after you've read the fictional one. And now it's time for Bookbibuli Read Reco. The reading competency required for this book is 4. The language is easy and flows softly. The chapters are short, it's engaging and interesting to read. The reader should sit with a box of tissue. Sometimes you feel a little overwhelmed. You can possibly finish it in a day, max 2. And yes, you can break it up. The genre is animal, fantasy, and fiction. It will be a natural extension to a reading trajectory which already has Charlotte's Web, Out of My Mind, and Winn-Dixie. Once you've read this, you're ready for Ivan, the remarkable true story of the shopping mall gorilla. All the best and happy reading.